For 40 years, John Travolta lived through deep pain and loss that slowly shaped who he became. He lost his mother, then his girlfriend, and later his young son. Each loss left a mark on him that never fully healed. By the time he turned 71, people close to him noticed something was different. After losing his wife Kelly Preston in 2020, and having already lost his son Jet years earlier, something inside him seemed to shift. In 2025, he began saying goodbye in quiet but worrying ways. He started giving away personal belongings that had deep emotional meaning. He recorded what he called a final message for his fans, which left many people shaken. His family became scared, feeling that he was carrying something heavy he was not sharing. The strange death rumors that spread that year did not feel random to those who knew him well. Many believed John had learned something about his own future that deeply affected him, and whatever it was, it broke hearts even before the truth came out. John Travolta was born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey. He was the youngest of 6 children in a loud, busy household. His father Salvatore ran a small tire shop and worked hard to support the family, often carrying financial stress on his shoulders. His mother Helen was the heart of the home. She taught acting classes and still dreamed of the stage herself. John often watched her rehearse, seeing the joy light up her face. Even at the age of 12, he felt drawn to that world. One school play changed everything for him. When he stepped onto the stage, moved with confidence, and heard the audience roar, it felt like a door opening inside him. His family did not have much money, but they had music, laughter, and stories. Helen practiced songs from shows like The Sound of Music right in their living room. John absorbed it all like air, letting those moments build hope inside him while money stayed tight and the house stayed small. Growing up in a musical home meant there was never silence. Songs from My Fair Lady and Oklahoma filled every corner of the house. John often joined in without being asked. He danced, sang, copied gestures, and made dramatic faces. Sometimes neighbors even peeked through the window to watch the small boy performing with such energy. Even though he was the youngest and often treated as the runt, his mother constantly encouraged him. She told him he had something special. When he felt lonely or unsure, music became his escape. Rhythm helped him forget his worries. He later said that those living room performances saved him during his darkest moments. Creativity surrounded him, quietly guiding him toward a future he could not yet fully see. School, however, was much harder. John was bullied for his thin body and for a stutter that made speaking painful and embarrassing. Other kids teased him relentlessly, calling him Pinky because of his pale skin. They mocked his voice and the way he walked. Many days he wished he could disappear before lunchtime. To survive, he retreated into his imagination. At home, he acted out skits for his siblings, turning his pain into humor. Performing became his comfort. His mother noticed how much hurt he carried and pushed him toward theater as a way to release those feelings. By high school, something changed whenever he stepped on stage. People watched him closely, as if he controlled the room. What once felt like weakness slowly turned into strength. His first true breakthrough came at age 12 when his mother directed a community play called Who Will Save the Plowboy and gave him a small role. The part was simple, but when John walked on stage, he added jokes, changed his voice, and slipped in accents that were not written. The audience laughed and clapped, and by the end, they stood up to applaud him. Even adults backstage were shocked. That moment told him exactly what he was meant to do with his life. He held on to that feeling and let it guide him forward. At 16, he made a bold decision. He dropped out of Dwight Morrow High School despite his parents begging him to stay. He packed a small bag, gathered what little money he had, and moved to New York City. He lived in a YMCA room that cost $1 a night. He worked any job he could find, washing dishes, delivering flowers, and cleaning wherever someone needed help. During the day, he slipped into free acting classes, even when he was not officially allowed. At night, he returned to his tiny bed and told himself to survive just one more day. He believed the struggle had meaning. He believed the city would eventually open a door if he kept knocking. His mother later helped him enroll in the neighborhood playhouse school of the theater, where he studied voice with Dan Sullivan. Sullivan saw raw talent in John but warned him that talent alone would not protect him. He told him the industry could break him if he did not build emotional strength. John listened closely. The training was intense and emotional. He learned how to control his voice and body, and over time, his stutter faded. When he finished the program, he carried Sullivan's warning with him, using it to stay grounded even when success came. That same year, he landed his first paid acting job at the Cherry Lane Theatre in Bye Bye Birdie. He earned $75 a week. The stage was small and the backstage cramped, but every night he learned something new. He watched older actors, memorized lines carefully, and learned how to hold an audience's attention. Performing off-Broadway gave him confidence he had never had before. For the first time, he truly believed he belonged in show business. 2 years later, in 1972, he appeared in the off-Broadway play Rain alongside Blythe Danner. The show closed after just 2 weeks due to bad reviews, leaving John broke. He slept on park benches and walked the streets for hours, hoping for another chance. That painful period stayed with him forever. It taught him how quickly the industry could lift someone up and drop them without warning. Still, he refused to quit. In 1973, he joined the national tour of Greece, playing Judy. It was not a large role, but it gave him room to explore and have fun. He improvised dance moves that made his fellow cast members laugh. Touring was exhausting, but it taught him discipline and consistency. Performing in new cities night after night helped him grow. Those experiences prepared him for bigger opportunities. In 1974, he reached Broadway with the musical Over Here, performing alongside the Andrews Sisters. The show ran for 341 performances and became the biggest musical of the season. John sang with a strong tenor voice that surprised many. He battled stage fright during early performances, but once he settled in, he felt at home. The success of the show opened doors and introduced him to people who would shape his future. That same year, he auditioned for more than 50 commercials. He landed ads for Dr. Pepper and other brands, earning $500 a day. For the first time, his life felt stable. He moved into a small apartment in Hell's Kitchen and finally felt like he could breathe. Those commercials kept him afloat while he continued chasing bigger dreams. In 1975, he auditioned for Godspell but messed up a song during callbacks and lost the role. The rejection crushed him, forcing him to rethink everything. He began working with acting coach Milton Katzellers, who pushed him to find deeper emotions within himself. That failure became one of the most important lessons of his life. Then came the audition that changed everything. Welcome Back, Kotter. He almost skipped it because he needed money and was considering a Broadway role instead. Casting director Lynn Stallmaster helped him stay afloat by giving him a small film role. When John walked into the Kotter audition, he was nervous and chewing gum. But the moment he read for Vinnie Barbarino, the room lit up. By 1976, he was one of the most famous young faces on television. Kids copied his walk, and his image appeared everywhere. Before Kotter aired, he appeared on Emergency in a dramatic role that showed his depth. Producers took notice. Then came The Boy in the Plastic Bubble in 1976, where he played a teenager born without an immune system. The film became a massive hit. During filming, he formed a close bond with actress Diana Hyland, who later died of cancer. Her death deeply affected him and stayed with him for years. When he auditioned for Saturday Night Fever, more than 200 actors competed for the role. But John had something special. He studied a simple walk he saw on television and made it his own. Director John Badham knew instantly he was the one. The role turned John into a global star almost overnight. At just 23, he became one of the youngest Oscar nominees in history. The pressure was intense, but he carried it forward, even as the soundtrack and the white suit turned him into a symbol of an era. By late 1977, the Bee Gees' music exploded across the world and changed everything. Their songs were released alongside Saturday Night Fever, and the soundtrack became a cultural earthquake. The album sold more than 40 million copies worldwide and 16 million in the United States alone. It became the second best-selling movie soundtrack of all time, beaten only years later by The Bodyguard. The album stayed at #1 on the Billboard charts for 24 weeks, a record that showed just how deeply it connected with people. Staying Alive became John Travolta's personal anthem. The Bee Gees shaped their music to follow Tony Mannero's emotions, and their high voices blended perfectly with Travolta's movement and energy. Every dance scene felt stronger because of that music. When the movie premiered on December 14, 1977, at Mann's Chinese Theatre in Hollywood, it did not feel like a normal movie premiere. The streets outside were packed, loud, and electric, more like a festival than a film showing. Inside the theatre, the reaction was instant. Audiences were pulled in completely. By the end of 1978, the film had made over $90 million in the United States and more than $350 million worldwide. John Travolta received his first Academy Award nomination at just 23 years old. 3 years later, when the movie aired on television, an estimated 200 million people watched it. Despite this overwhelming success, Travolta made a surprising decision. He turned down a $1 million endorsement deal because he feared being trapped forever as just a disco star. He wanted to grow, not burn out. While filming, the atmosphere was not always glamorous. One night, Travolta witnessed a real fight break out inside a Brooklyn disco. The shouting, fear, and danger stayed with him. That moment helped shape the darker tone of some scenes in the movie. One extremely disturbing scene was later cut after pressure from ratings boards, but the raw feeling Travolta had seen stayed inside him. Because of this experience, he became cautious. He avoided roles that felt too narrow, too predictable, or that might box him into one image. That fear influenced many of his choices early on. After Saturday Night Fever, everyone expected him to say yes to every offer. Instead, he surprised Hollywood again. He turned down a cameo in Animal House in 1978 because he wanted to protect his serious image. Instead of chasing more acting roles right away, he invested his earnings into music. His first album, simply called John Travolta, reached number 14 on the Billboard 200 chart. It mixed soft ballads with disco sounds. He was trying to prove that he could grow slowly and wisely, not crash like many young stars before him. Then came Grease. Travolta had already played Danny Zuko on Broadway back in 1972, so the character felt natural to him. When producers considered casting Henry Winkler, Travolta pushed hard for the role. He sang Greased Lightning live during auditions, proving he could handle it. Olivia Newton-John helped him with vocal coaching, and that confidence helped him secure the part. Filming began in the summer of 1977 at Venice High School, which was transformed into Rydell High. Travolta's Broadway dance experience mixed with his movie star presence, making Danny Zuko unforgettable. One of the most famous scenes was filmed at Venice Beach during the hand jive sequence. More than 500 extras filled the set, and the energy was wild and chaotic. Travolta improvised many of his dance moves, which is why the scene feels so alive even today. During filming, he injured his hand during a stunt but refused to stop. The crew quickly adjusted around him. That chaos somehow turned into magic, and it shows on screen. Grease was released in June 1978 and became a massive box office success. It earned $132 million in the United States and more than $395 million worldwide, all from a budget of just $6 million. Travolta earned $2.5 million, becoming the highest-paid actor in Hollywood at that time. Rumors of a romance between him and Olivia Newton-John spread everywhere, but Travolta always said their relationship was strictly professional. The film turned him from a major star into a true legend. Behind the scenes, however, pain followed him. During the Grease press tour, Travolta learned that his mother Helen had breast cancer. She had hidden it from him so he could focus on his work. He finished filming while carrying that emotional weight. Helen passed away in 1978, and Travolta later said that the grief added a deeper sadness and vulnerability to his performance. Even while grieving, he remained professional, earning deep respect from the cast and crew. That same year, his song Let Her In became a major hit. It reached number 1 in the United Kingdom for 7 weeks and climbed to number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States. ABC even planned a television special around him, but scheduling problems prevented it from happening. Let Her In remains his only solo top 10 hit in America. Also in 1978, Travolta was offered the role of Superman. He turned it down, and the part eventually went to Christopher Reeve. Later in life, Travolta admitted that decision haunted him. Superman earned more than $300 million worldwide and shaped the future of superhero movies. If he had taken the role, his career path might have been completely different. In 1980, Urban Cowboy arrived. Travolta committed fully to the role, spending months learning bull riding from real Texas ranchers. During rehearsals, he was thrown from a mechanical bull so hard that he briefly lost feeling in his legs. The crew panicked, but Travolta insisted on continuing before even getting checked. Doctors later confirmed he had fractured his ankle, which caused delays in filming. The pain lingered, but it added a rough realism to the film that audiences noticed and appreciated. In 1981, he starred in Blowout, a tense thriller shaped by the fear and paranoia of the post-Watergate era. Director Brian De Palma needed a scream that felt completely real for a key scene. Nothing worked. Travolta drew on his improvisation skills and personal emotion, delivering a raw scream that became one of the film's most powerful moments. In 1983, he returned to his most famous character in Staying Alive. This time, Travolta was not just the star but also an executive producer. The budget grew massively, and behind the scenes, creative tension exploded. He clashed with Sylvester Stallone over control of the film. Production slowed, and stress filled the set. Critics later destroyed the movie, but despite the backlash, it still earned $127 million worldwide. Tony Manero still had drawing power. By 1985, Travolta believed he was taking on a simple romantic drama called Perfect. Instead, the film pulled him into something heavier. He played a journalist caught in a legal fight over tapes he refused to surrender. At the same time, Travolta was dealing with a real-life contract dispute with Paramount Pictures over unpaid earnings from Grease, which had made more than $180 million worldwide. The legal battle was settled quietly, but it left him emotionally drained. The movie itself failed badly, earning only $12.9 million against a $20 million budget. Critics were harsh, and his career took another hit. Still, the strange connection between the film's courtroom drama and his real struggle gave his performance a depth that some viewers still remember. 4 years later, everything changed again. In 1989, Travolta starred in Look Who's Talking, a light comedy where Bruce Willis voiced the thoughts of a baby. It did not look like a comeback film at first. But it surprised everyone. The movie earned nearly $300 million worldwide and saved Travolta's career at a time when major studios had almost stopped calling him. Travolta and Willis recorded together, improvising and feeding off each other's energy. That natural chemistry gave the film its warmth and charm. That same year, trouble followed again. Travolta was sued for $5 million by his former manager, who accused him of financial wrongdoing. The case was settled outside court, but it revealed how unprepared Travolta had been for sudden fame. During the 1970s, he had earned more than $100 million without closely monitoring his finances. Managers and advisors made decisions he barely questioned. By the end of the lawsuit, he realized how much money had slipped away. It became a wake-up call, pushing him to finally take control of his financial life. During this unstable period, he met Kelly Preston. They first met on the set of an unreleased film in 1987, but their bond deepened in 1989 when they both became involved in Scientology. That shared belief connected them at a time when Travolta was facing career uncertainty, legal stress, and the emotional weight of multiple box office failures. Their relationship became a safe place for him when everything else in his life felt unstable. Being with Kelly gave John Travolta peace, balance, and a sense of home he had been searching for. They got married in 1991, and for nearly 3 decades they stayed together through success, failure, joy, and unimaginable pain, until Kelly passed away in 2020. Around the time they married, Travolta also began choosing softer, more emotional projects. In 1991, he starred in Eyes of an Angel, a quiet drama about a father and daughter who slowly heal while caring for an injured dog. The film was not a big success, but it reflected where his heart was. He was less interested in spectacle and more drawn to stories about family, connection, and love. As his personal life became calmer and more grounded, the roles he chose began to mirror that change. Looking back, there is one major regret that still follows him. In 1986, he was offered the lead role in Top Gun. He turned it down because of his fear of heights, even though he loved aviation and flying. That role went to Tom Cruise, and the movie became a massive hit, earning more than $357 million worldwide. Travolta later admitted that turning it down haunted him, especially since his career struggled not long after. It became a quiet lesson about fear and missed chances that stayed with him for years. Then, in 1994, everything changed again with Pulp Fiction. Travolta's now legendary dance scene with Uma Thurman was filmed after he had just returned from promoting the movie in Europe. He was exhausted, and the scene took about 20 takes to get right. During one chaotic moment, his finger slipped on a prop gun and he accidentally shot Marvin in the face. The room went silent, but Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson stayed in character and kept going. Quentin Tarantino loved how raw it felt and kept the take in the final cut. Later, Travolta injured his foot during another scene when he dropped hard to his knees. The scream audiences hear in the movie is real pain. All of that chaos and intensity helped create the rough, electric energy that turned Pulp Fiction into a cultural landmark and fully revived his career. By 1995, he followed that success with Get Shorty, playing Chili Palmer, a smooth and confident loan shark who drifts into Hollywood. Travolta added lines inspired by stories he had heard from real Miami mobsters, and his improvisation was so strong that the director had to rewrite scenes around him. The film earned $72 million worldwide and received awards attention. It showed that his confidence was back and that his comeback was real. That same year, something terrifying happened in real life. While flying his Gulfstream jet from Florida to Maine, the navigation system suddenly failed. Visibility was poor, radios stopped working, and the situation became dangerous fast. Air traffic control had to divert a Boeing 727 to guide Travolta's plane through the clouds. The two aircraft came dangerously close before he managed a high-speed emergency landing. It was one of the closest brushes with death he ever experienced. He rarely talks about it, but the moment stayed with him and later inspired parts of the film Phenomenon, where his character gains strange abilities after a flash of light. 2 years later, he starred in Face Off with Nicolas Cage. The film required heavy prosthetic makeup that took 8 hours a day to apply. Artists carefully built moving facial structures and placed individual hairs by hand so the faces would look alive. Travolta and Cage were so covered in makeup that they sometimes did not recognize each other. The movie earned $245 million worldwide, but the process was physically exhausting. Both actors suffered skin problems and needed medical care during filming. Still, Travolta stayed committed, believing the effort would make the story believable. Not long after, he was offered a cameo in Titanic, which would have been a huge career moment. But in 1997, Kelly told him she was pregnant with their son Jet, and Travolta chose to step away from the spotlight to focus on family. It was a quiet sacrifice that few people knew about at the time. In 2000, he made one of the most painful decisions of his career. He invested $20 million of his own money into Battlefield Earth, hoping to launch a massive science fiction franchise based on a book he admired. The film cost $73 million to make but earned only $29 million worldwide. Critics destroyed it, and Travolta won a Razzie for Worst Actor. It became one of the most famous failures in Hollywood history. Many questioned whether his personal beliefs influenced the project. The film became a warning in the industry about how even respected stars can misjudge a passion project. In 2001, Swordfish followed. Travolta played a fast-talking villain and even flew a helicopter himself during filming for a dangerous stunt. Despite safety warnings, he insisted he could handle it. The film earned $147 million worldwide and became a stylish hit, though critics were divided on his performance. Still, the stunt and his bold presence made the role memorable. Nothing, however, compared to the tragedy that came in 2009. His son Jet died at the age of 16 while the family was on vacation in the Bahamas. The loss shattered Travolta completely. Months later, an ambulance worker tried to extort $25 million from the family by claiming there was a cover-up. During the trial, Travolta described performing CPR on his son, begging him to breathe. The moment exposed his pain to the world. People saw him not as a movie star, but as a grieving father. It reminded everyone how fragile life is, no matter how famous someone may be. Around that period, he appeared in Hairspray in 2007, playing Edna Turnblad. The role required hours of makeup every day, but he brought warmth and joy to the character. The film was a success and reminded audiences of his versatility. That same year, Wild Hogs gave him a lighter, more playful project. The movie earned $253 million worldwide. Travolta insisted on doing real motorcycle stunts and suffered a minor crash, but the cast bonded deeply, making it one of his happiest filming experiences. In 2010, after years of grief, a small light returned to his life. Travolta and Kelly welcomed their son Benjamin through a surrogate. Benjamin became a symbol of healing for the family. Travolta also devoted himself to charity work, even flying his Boeing 707 to deliver supplies after the Haiti earthquake. That plane became a symbol of his generosity and service. Years later, he returned to television in The People v. O.J. Simpson, playing lawyer Robert Shapiro. He gained weight for the role and carefully studied Shapiro's voice, movements, and behavior. The series premiered in 2016 and earned strong praise. Travolta received an Emmy nomination and once again proved he could reinvent himself. In 2018, he starred in Gotti, a project he had wanted to make for years. The film faced harsh reviews and even received a 0% rating from critics. Still, Travolta stood by it and later said he never regretted making it because it mattered to him personally. The hardest loss came in 2020 when Kelly Preston died of breast cancer at the age of 57. Travolta shared emotional messages online and later revealed her final words to him. She asked him to choose joy and keep living fully. On her birthday in 2025, he shared a video of himself singing Come Rain or Come Shine, and millions of people felt his grief through the screen. That same year, he surprised fans by appearing as Santa Claus in a Capital One holiday commercial. At 71, he danced with 50 performers under bright lights. The ad premiered during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in November 2025. Fans celebrated it as proof that he still had the same spark he showed decades earlier. Throughout 2025, false reports of his death spread online. He calmly shut them down with simple photos and quiet confidence. He continues to fly his planes for charity, mentor young actors, keep working, and keep moving forward, carrying both his joy and his pain with him every step of the way.